Hey everybody, how you doing? It's time for Hawaiian Beauty's maiden voyage, or rather flight, I guess we should say. Gonna pull around here and hook up to the Nascar car hauler, and then we're gonna load the cars. First stop is Chicago to drop off the truck for the Chicagoland race, and then we're gonna continue on to Martinsville where the Cup and the Xfinity cars are running this weekend. Alright, we're all hooked up. We'll see you in just a little while when there's a little bit more sun, and we'll load up the hauler. Alright, let's get the NASCAR hauler loaded. Miss Gina and Sky have come out to watch the process. First up is the decalb seed Ford Mustang GT Cup car, and we'll station that in forward lift bay 1. Next up will be the GoPro Ford Mustang GT Xfinity car. We're going to station that in the lower lift bay number 2. Last but not least is the UPS Ford F-150 Gander truck, and we're going to station that in rear lift bay number 3. There we go, all loaded up and ready to roll. Let's go, Sky. Miss Gina, I leave everything in your capable hands.
Okay, here we go.
All right, we're just a little bit east of Des Moines on 80 heading for Chicago. Let's get you up to date on the business side of David Trucking. I decided to pay off my loan. I think it was about $144,000 of the $500,000 left, so I just paid that flat out. So I've got no loans. Girls are doing great, bringing in great cash every day. I mentioned when I hired Eva on that video that, something about her caught my eye. And if you're curious about that, because I failed to mention it, it was the goggles on her head. I just bought Hawaiian Beauty in the Bomber Nose Art B-17 motif, and I thought, you know what, that's a sign right there. And she has her private pilot's license, and so that's why I gave her Eagle 1. Eagles fly high. All right, very good. I decided not to give her a trailer at the Sacramento base garage, and that was so I wouldn't hamstring her on what she could deliver. She'll just do contract jobs. She'll use other business trailers, and maybe that will help with return trips back to the Sacramento base. The last 3 current races, I've had some ups and some downs, if you will. The Cup Dirt race at Bristol, finished 16th there. That was an absolute shit show. In the Xfinity series, they were at Bristol Pavement most recently here, and I pulled out a top 10, 10th place finish there. Kind of got door slammed by a guy and, got in the wall, and after that the engine was laying down. I just had no power. But I had I had a top 5 car. I had a top 5 car at Bristol. Love running Bristol. And then Gander Series trucks at Bristol Dirt managed to pull out a 2nd place finish from 4th on a green-white checker. I was kind of up there for most of the day, fell back for a little while. A lot of cautions again. Every series I watched from Lebon on down, my God, there were a lot of cautions at Bristol Dirt. But anyway, the truck series there at Bristol, man, I managed to pull out a 2nd place finish. That felt pretty good. I decided not to run the Cup and the trucks at the Fantasy Bastard iRacing Super Speedway track. I don't own it, have no intention of buying it. I'll just consider that an off week. So now we're heading to Chicagoland for the Gander Truck Series, and then off to Martinsville for both the Cup and the Xfinity Series. So let's take a look at my standings here today, starting off with the Cup Series, of course, after the Bristol Dirt Race. Overall, I'm a 709. In Division 3, I'm 198. Midwest Club, I'm 25th place, and in Midwest Club Division 3, I am in 8th place. Moving on to the Xfinity Series, after Bristol, the pavement track, Week 8. Overall, I'm in 311. Division 3, 70. Midwest Club, I'm in 12th. And Midwest Club Division 3, I am in 6th place. Wrapping it up in the Gander Series after Bristol Dirt Week 7. Overall, 249. Division 3, 37. Midwest Club, 10th place. Midwest Club Division 3, there it is. I'm leading the pack. Now on to something pretty serious that all of us guys that upload videos to YouTube need to be aware of. And it's possible this has been around all this time and I was just unaware of it, but here we go. On a Facebook page that I follow, somebody said, hey, did you read the new Terms of Service, the TOS? And there was a lot of snarky comments on there, but one guy reported, I didn't exactly read it, but I ran it through a program, and this was the change. Okay, first of all, what kind of program you got that reads text and can tell you what's different? I think that's kind of cool. Anyway, he goes, here it is. Added a subsection to Section 5 of the TOS. New subsection 5.4 reads as follows. Notwithstanding the foregoing, you may be permitted to broadcast streams of limited races via limited means, subject to the terms of the iRacing broadcast policy, which is incorporated herein by reference. A violation of any term of the iRacing broadcast policy shall be deemed a violation of this agreement. So, what the fuck does that all mean? So here's some of the responses from the keyboard lawyers. So they could potentially take away all privilege of broadcasting races if they see streaming as a true source of income. Another chimed in, I believe this is meant to clarify how iRacing can ban you similar to how they did Kyle Larson, even if the action was on stream only and not in iRacing chat. A follow-up, it includes both things you've mentioned and more. It's a potential blow to broadcasters for sure. And then the last comment, it is directed more at streamers broadcasting their races. However, if you are broadcasting a race that depicts content from any of the racers participating that is questionable during your broadcast of said event, then your account could be in jeopardy also. So if you broadcast a race, make sure that drivers' radios are muted. So here comes my armchair keyboard lawyer 2 cents worth, working backwards. I don't think that if you're posting anything on YouTube that has another driver drop an F-bomb at another driver, you can be held responsible, like the last comment here suggested. You know, in this day and age, you never fucking know. But I really seriously think that he is off base just a little bit. So getting back to the original text that the guy copied and pasted, and it starts out with notwithstanding the foregoing, and then it mentions the iRacing broadcast policy. Okay, notwithstanding the foregoing, well, there's something here that this guy doesn't have as information. I've got to look it up, and I never knew that iRacing had a broadcast policy, and that would pertain to me or you on YouTube. So I looked it up. I think I found the most recent one that was updated February 1 of this year, 2021. And I'll just kind of highlight here. They define broadcasting versus streaming, and none of us that post stuff on YouTube qualify for that, with possibly the exception of myself. Okay, so let's get into this just a little bit deeper here. Broadcasting, according to iRacing, is defined as, quote, TV style, end quote, production with overlays, parentheses, running order, track position, etc., commentators, parentheses, S, multiple camera angles, race analysis, etc. Streaming is defined as POV, point of view style production with optional driver view camera, does not typically include TV style overlays, and dialogue is focused on community versus calling the full race. So once again, my armchair keyboard lawyer 2 cents worth. We do not broadcast and we do not stream. And the reason I say that is we're not calling the race, we are describing our race. That's my 2 cents worth. Then they go on with some legalese about how the iRacing watermark has to be in there, yada yada yada, and how if iRacing is streaming a professional official race, you are not allowed to stream it at the same time, yada yada yada. And then the last section is streaming guidelines, and I'll read it to you here in full. Streaming one's own POV, point of view, on services like Twitch or YouTube is allowed concurrently. iRacing must be credited as the game being shown. Full broadcast branding, as outlined above in Section 3, is not required, however. And that's where you have to clarify it's iRacing, yada yada yada. And then it continues, broadcast content guidelines outlined above in Section 4 must be followed while streaming. Okay, let's backtrack since I didn't say this. Let's go and look at Section 4. Broadcast content guidelines. Commentators will at all times behave in a professional manner while on the broadcast. Commentary must not include offensive or vulgar language. Commentators must be respectful of all participants, sponsors, partners, and iRacing. Defamatory, derogatory, racist, sexist, or other degrading language will not be tolerated. For the avoidance of doubt, use of such language by a commentator engaged by broadcasters shall be deemed a breach of this policy by broadcaster. No advertisement of any illegal services may be included within or in connection with the broadcasts. So what does that all mean? Well, contrary to what I've always thought, what is logical and common sense, apparently if you call someone out on your own YouTube channel that doesn't violate the YouTube channel TOS, and they find that, they can turn you into iRacing, and you could potentially get suspended or banned for calling that guy a dumb fucking douchebag who just door slammed you in turn 2. I'm going to blatantly break the policy right here. That's fucking bullshit. Now that being said, racist, sexist, other, stuff like that, you're calling the guy out on your own YouTube channel. Number one, that's going to violate the YouTube TOS. And for that to transfer over to iRacing, you know what, I suppose it could. I think the overreach is a little great here, to be 100% honest with you. However, it is their brand and they want to protect their brand. I also understand that. But the odd thing is, defamatory, derogatory, foul language, that is one of the most abused sporting code violations in iRacing. 99.99999% of the people that are in violation of this term of service never get protested. And quite frankly, that's fine. I feel really bad for the few that do, because it is in the terms of service, and there's going to be some douchebag dickheads out there every now and then that will use that as a weapon. So let's kind of wrap this up. What we do on YouTube here is not considered broadcasting, it's considered streaming. However, we are to be held to the broadcast content guidelines, about the language and yada, yada, yada. So what's a guy to do? When I first started my YouTube iRacing channel and started doing voiceover work, I considered these issues and thought to myself, you know what is on here cannot be used against me in iRacing. Well, apparently that is not true. And, you know, I mean, you've watched my videos. There's some times I've gotten rather foul. I've watched all of you guys' videos. We all get rather foul when there's stupid shit going on the track. Here's the thing. I've never seen anybody call anybody out for anything other than on-track stupidity. In my opinion, calling a guy a fucking idiot for door slamming you in turn 2, you know, piss poor racing and yada yada yada, that I think is separate from calling him out because of his name or whatever. You know what I'm saying. Now, the other thing, when I first started doing my voiceover work on iRacing, and what's really odd is I've watched a lot of you guys' productions, and nothing was ever said. However, just about everybody seems to follow this, I'm going to say, self-imposed rule, and you may not even realize you're doing it. I've seen it from Nebon. I've seen it from DLB TV. All of you guys do the same thing that I do, and that is we call out car number. Very rarely do we call out driver name, and even more interesting is very rarely do we call out car paint job sponsor. I find that most interesting. Myself, I made the conscious choice to not do that. Now, I was not aware of the broadcasting guidelines. I just decided that I was not going to give the idiot douchebag that door slammed me in turn 2 the credit of having his name broadcast on my YouTube channel. You know what I mean? He's a nameless idiot. So I called out car number 5. As far as the paint jobs go, I consciously decided not to refer to a driver or his vehicle with the paint job scheme. And that was mainly because I didn't want to highlight any specific sponsor or cause any issues with highlighting a specific sponsor. And you know, that's just the way I decided to do it. It would be a hell of a lot easier to say that Budweiser car slammed into me. But you know, there's a lot of, there's a lot going on at iRacing, and we're paying attention to car numbers, not, paint schemes and all that. So that's, that's kind of common sense. But I did find it very interesting that most of us guys only call out car number, not driver name or paint scheme. So what's a guy to do? I'm not going to change my ways, and I'm sure isn't either, and I'm sure a couple of you other guys that drop the F-bomb on occasion or regularly, I'm not going to change it up. If and when something happens, then we'll have to deal with it, and I'm not the guy you want to fuck with. First of all, this seems to be a great overreach of their powers, if you will, and there are some things in law. It's kind of a gray area, and I don't know what the doctrine name is, but it's a law that's on the books, that's current, legal, constitutional, yada, 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 and it is wholly not enforced with exception of very limited outreach, if you will, and it can then be determined that if a company, or in this case a law, but I would think it might be able to transfer here, specifically with iRacing. Like I said, the vulgar speech is one of the things that is just so rarely handed down. And iRacing will say, well, we don't monitor it, we need to have the people turn it in. Well, if the people overall decide that, we're going to live with it, violate the TOS every single corner, and 30 other guys on the track don't have a problem with it, pretty much means that guideline, that law, that rule, that policy is pretty moot and not generally accepted as something that we're going to put up with. So, that's a whole bunch of legalese bullshit, but anyway. So, just thought I'd bring that to y'all's attention. Like I said, I'm not going to change anything up, and we'll just see what happens. And hopefully, I just, I have softened my tone just a little bit, and not spending a whole lot of time berating a driver And some of you have probably seen that I've gotten into a situation and then literally 1 second later it's okay, it's over, it's done, I've cussed, get back to the matter at hand, and that's racing the track and having fun and trying to complete the race, and let's not focus on it too much, it's over, it's done. Okay, so anyway, that's a long-winded one. That's all we have for that now.
Go straight on.
Looks like he should be lining up behind us.
Middle finger out the window. That's the leader. All right, we're in Chicago, actually a little south of Chicago near Joliet. Of course, the Chicago racetrack is not modeled in the truck simulator world. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to drop off my gander truck, the UPS Ford F-150, here at a Tesla. Elon has graciously volunteered to use one of his haulers to get the truck to the track when I jet in from Martinsville in order to run the race.
Turn left.
Okay, I'm in the right spot. Let's get the gander truck offloaded and then we'll continue on to Martinsville.
Ready to roll.
Take care of my baby, Elon. Okay, off to the paperclip. Chicago to Martinsville is pretty uneventful, just a little bit of rain as you see here. I'm going to do something I've never done here before. I'm going to try the E-toll and go to the far right here at the toll booth and see what happens. Aha, pays the toll automatically. Good to know. That's why I've got that blue thing up in the windshield. Well, I've gotten about as close to Martinsville as I can in the ATS world. Going to pull off and spend the night here at the truck stop. We'll see you on the return trip after the races, and hopefully I've got some good results for you. Tell you what, while I fill up, let's watch that thrilling finish in the gander truck at Bristol Dirt. Hell yeah.
Big girl. Let's keep going the right direction. 10-4. Do our thing, boss man. Be ready. Green. 2 to go. 41.522. White flag. Mid time. Outside. Still out there. Clear. 21.113. Outside. Working the bottom. Clear. Water inside. Clear. Clear. See, my man, you put it on him.
Am I going to come away with second here? I did. Some bitch.
Check your flag, big man.
I didn't see what the 3 did to the leader. The leader just, we'll have to go back and look. Maybe you guys saw it. I didn't.
Great job, Ron, Malik, all you guys.
Did he turn him?
All the way back home, actually. We had a really good race car off the truck. Thank you.
Wow. And I think I didn't make any enemies, you know what I mean? For the most part. Whew. Wow. I think that's about my 4th second in the trucks. And for it to be here at Bristol, holy smokes. Fucking incredible. Still kind of gives me tingles when I watch that. All right, guys, thanks for coming along for the ride, and we'll see you next time.